mentioning Canada as the 51st state. He doubles down on it. How do Canadians react to this, and what's your response?
Canadians react with fury and an absolute determination that our sovereignty is not negotiable. I have never seen Canada as patriotic as it is today. I have never seen Canadians as committed to Canada. We love our country, and we're going to fight for it. And that is, I would say, the unanimous view across the country. And it's a little bit sad for us, the attitude that we're having to take towards the United States, because so many Canadians have friends and family here. But, you know, right now, Canadian restaurants are taking U.S. wine off the menu. Snowbirds are not flying south. Do not go to a hockey game when anthems are being sung. Because we're angry, and we're absolutely determined.
And now to the tariffs. Talk about Canada's response, and how sustainable is this?
Well, I would just start by saying, Mika, from the U.S. perspective, these tariffs are, as the Wall Street Journal said, just dumb. This is a self-mutilating action. You know, these tariffs and the tariff wars you're having with Canada and now with the EU, basically with the whole world, it's going to make gas more expensive. It's going to make groceries more expensive. Steve Ratner has just been talking about how it's wrecking your stock market. So if anyone has a 401k, they should be worried. This is just a really bad idea. And Canada is not going to take it laying down. You know, if you hit us, we are going to hit back. That is what the government announced yesterday. And, you know, I think Americans need to recognize Canada is absolutely determined in this. The Premier of Ontario, my friend, has become a national hero. He said he's going to put export tariffs on the electricity that Ontario sells to the U.S. And Canadians are very excited about having that as leverage. And, you know, for us, it's just absurd, because we have historically a win-win relationship. And it would make sense for both our countries to get back to that. But if you want to hit us, Canada will hit back.
You know, Krista, I think there's a lot of Americans who applaud Doug Ford as well, the Prime Minister of Ontario, as you mentioned. But I'd like to ask you about something that has less to do with tariffs, which right now I think the American people are trying to figure out what is going on with tariffs, because it's back and forth nearly every day, and about something that you mentioned earlier, and it's the national anthems. During the Four Nations hockey tournament, which was a terrific tournament, the Star-Spangled Banner was booed vociferously in Canada. When it ended up in Boston, the final game, which Canada won,
we did.
There was a smattering of boos at the beginning of the playing of the Canadian national anthem, but it turned into much of the crowd singing the Canadian national anthem along with the Canadians who were present. So I want to find out what you think is going on in Canada as a result of the level of malevolence, rhetorical malevolence by the President of the United States towards Canada, continually harping on the 51st state, continually mentioning the governor of Canada when Trudeau is still there. What effect, if any, has that level of malevolence, rhetorical malevolence, had on the relationship?
Well, for us at home, it has united us as never before and made us absolutely determined to do whatever it takes to be united, strong, and smart. And I just want to say to Americans, do not doubt our determination and do not doubt our resilience. In terms of the relationship, I would say it's a combination of sadness and anger. Sadness because we actually like you guys, and we know that our relationship has been mutually beneficial. But there is anger there, and I have to warn you, it will be hard to build back the trust. It's really, you know, I really think there is a grave danger for the United States that your northern neighbor, who has been your friend and ally for our entire existence, and whose friendship has been such a source of American strength, you've never had to worry about that whole northern border. We are starting to feel like we just can't trust you anymore, and we have to turn elsewhere, because this sovereignty threat, it is a huge, huge thing, and it keeps on getting repeated. And we take that really seriously.
Marco Rubio's in Quebec the next couple of days. What kind of a reception will he get?
I think Canadians believe in being polite and decent, but I think visiting representatives of this U.S. administration should expect to hear very clearly from members of my government and my party, and from just regular Canadians, that our sovereignty is not negotiable, that we do not intend to capitulate, and if you hit us, we will hit back.
So let me follow up with a couple things you just said right there. If the Canadians, like you said, Canada might need to look elsewhere, where would that be? And what could be done to repair this relationship? Is it as simple as when the Trump administration leaves office, things will go back to what had been the status quo, or do you think it's going to take more than that?
So let me start with the second question. Look, I think the relationship can be repaired by getting back to a win-win when it comes to our economic relationship, and by treating us with respect. Our incoming Prime Minister, Mark Carney, said it very clearly and very well. You need to respect us. And I think that is the basis of any relationship, and it's not that hard to do. When it comes to Canada's alternatives, trade diversification is such a big theme in Canada right now. We already have an extremely close trade deal with the EU. I negotiated it. It's actually deeper than our trade deal with you in terms of the provisions, and we're going to be energetically pursuing that. Canada also has a trade deal that I signed with the Asia Pacific, the TPP. That deal exists, and you're going to see Canada very energetically deepening the ties there. We love our relationship with the U.S. It has, for our entire existence as a country, been mutually beneficial. But we have no choice now but to seek friends elsewhere.
Inside the White House tonight, President Trump is shrugging off the growing pessimism over his expanding trade war, only digging in and becoming more defiant as he's now threatening some of his biggest tariffs yet. Even though there are real concerns that this would very quickly spiral out of control, we're hearing from the Vice President, J.D. Vance, in a new interview tonight, sounding confident about his boss's plans.
Can you rule out the possibility, as Reagan faced in his first term in office, coming off a terrible economic calamity for the country, can you rule out a recession, even a temporary one?
Well, look, I think you never can predict the future, but I think the economy, the fundamentals of the economy are actually quite strong right now. And we'll see how this unfolds, Laura, but I think that by inducing more businesses to invest in American workers, by reshoring some of those critical supply chains, we are going to make this economy stronger over the long haul, and that is the president's ultimate goal.
But that confidence coming from the White House is not really doing much, if anything, to calm the anxiety, as we see markets plunging again today as the S&P is now in correction territory, meaning it's down 10% from its recent high less than a month ago. And yet, from my view at the White House today, up close and personal, the president and his aides aren't sounding worried. In fact, they sound just the opposite.
I'm not going to bend at all. Aluminum or steel or cars. We're not going to bend. We've been ripped off as a country for many, many years.
Many American small business owners say they are concerned that these tariffs are going to hurt them. What's your message to them?
They're going to be so much richer than they are right now.
Of course, tariffs are taxes, and more often than not, we see a lot of businesses pass those on to consumers. So it's unclear how small businesses are going to get so much richer, as the president says. That remains to be seen as that plays out.
What does that fighting entail? How do you see that fighting moving forward? Is it reciprocal tariffs?
Yeah, the first step is going to be dollar for dollar retaliatory tariffs. Impose a tariff on us, we'll impose a tariff back on you. Again, no one wins in these trade wars. But this is not a fight that we wanted to pick. We were happy to continue to have a strong relationship. Donald Trump has picked this fight, so we're going to fight back. We just announced today, what I would do is put in place a 100% tariff on Tesla, directly targeting Elon Musk. Because Elon Musk is proudly touting this idea of the 51st state, so let's hit back at Elon Musk. I've also said we should shut down the supply of critical minerals. Another move that directly targets Elon Musk and his Tesla company. The batteries that he needs require these critical minerals. We've got tools, and we should be ready to use them. It's not something that we wanted to do, but if Donald Trump wants to bring this fight, know that we are ready. I'm putting Donald Trump on notice.
Canadian MP Jagmeet Singh, appreciate you joining us and sharing your perspective.
Thank you so much, sir.
Christine, let's talk about just the reaction to what we're seeing today, these retaliatory tariffs and the way that they're seemingly very targeted to specific areas and to specific products that are going to affect specific voters in this country.
And these are what trade wars do, right? Think about what happened today when you talk about, for example, a 200% tariff on wine. That's a reaction to a tariff. I mean, so it just starts to escalate and involve more communities, more factories, more products, and it hurts people on, frankly, both sides. And that's what, markets today unsettled as well. Again, 3 weeks of sort of just understanding this is an escalating trade war without an off-ramp. People can't see an off-ramp quite yet. And they know what the president wants to do. He wants to return domestic production to what he sees as a pre-NAFTA glory. But that will be very, very difficult and can take an awful lot of time. And this is a lot of experts say this isn't the way they would go about it in the first place.
So, guys, again, Canada's not backing down. And what they're doing is they're making a couple things clear. One, as Jagmeet said, don't mistake Canada's stereotypical kindness, which has been real. Remember, Canada's always been a good friend to the United States. Even in cases, we got to be honest, where maybe the U.S. didn't always deserve such a nice friend. But that's not a sign of weakness, right? It's not a sign of subjugation. It was a sign of kindness and friendship and understanding that we share this continent. But also, this is not a traditional trade war. We got to make this clear. As Freeland notes, and I'm not the biggest Freeland fan, because again, I'm an NDPer. I support Jagmeet's party. But the thing is, she's right. This is not a good faith negotiation on trade deals, which can get pretty hairy. Canada and the USA, even before Trump, have had difficult trade deals, have had difficult disagreements between Republican and Democratic administrations. But never has it been this dumb. This is just dumb. Like I'm not trying to down. It's dumb. It's dumb stuff. None of it makes sense. And the only way it does make sense is with Trump's annexation threat. So it's not a trade debate because the tariffs are dumb. It's all designed to make Canada look weak and to weaken us. And I got to be honest, guys, our stock market's taken a hit. But it's taken about half the hit that Trump has put on his own stock market. Canada's markets are down about 5%. The US's are down 10%. Donald is weakening his own country more than Canada because Canada is sticking together.